That we are at a tie match at the top. Double gen pop to avoid the deadlock. They do go down. There is a haste status effect. They do have to be careful here. The hatch is going to spawn momentarily. Dead Hard could get them the distance to get it too. Shot.
Really smart play on the ace. Oh my god, getting shot through the window.
No longer have distortion, and they are going to teleport here. I think they get there in time. Yes!
Oh, the grab, yes! That is disappointing. This is be a 4-man out because.
Yeah, but they will be able to block this. Yo, getting caught on that. Ace coming with the body block. Oh, they were here.
All right, and we are back with round 3 of qualifier number 2, and it all comes down to this, where we have Oboy killing against Petroleum Survivor Team for the 3-0 record. And I am joined by DbdOpinions. How you doing today?
Doing good. I was just looking in the webcam. I was realizing I need to take my Christmas tree down, man. It's too late for this.
Hey, you know, it's never too early to put up your Christmas tree. But with that being said, Blight off to the races as we do see a corrupt intervention, and Blight going to get a little bit of elevation here to see what is happening across the map. One other thing about this hill that a lot of people forget about, you can kind of see over the car piles when you're staying on top of it, which is really useful to say the least. But we do see a survivor dropping a pallet quite early. Not sure the reasoning behind that necessarily, but we'll see if that plays off in Petroleum's favor as Blight does slide off that car pile, looking for a survivor nearby, but scratch marks seem to have disappeared into nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we're just playing it extra safe today. We are dropping pallets so far in advance. Able to tap the gen, and we're going to chase the ace here. See if we can get some fancy slide tech there, and sure enough, getting a good solid hit on the ace.
Yeah, no, honestly, a really good hit. Also want to note, during that chase, we did see that the gen pick earlier was highlighted in yellow, so that there is potentially Qualifier and or Eruption, so time will tell of what that could be. However, Ace still in chase with the Blight, dropping the pallet early, though Blight trying to get a bit of a fake out here, but Ace not falling for it, in fact, dropping further into the garage, as we do see Qualifier activating in the distance, giving the Blight a little bit of information.
Yeah, if you're just able to maintain a circle, well, I say that. I was gonna mention that it is super hard for Blight to kind of navigate this gas station, but Blight made it work, and with the head-on stun out of the locker, did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, honestly, really well played there by the survivors, getting the locker stun, getting the blind, but Blight down in the ace once again with zero hesitation. And I'm doubtful that we're going to see a flashlight here on Ace, as the Blight will open up the garage and bring him out the side.
The one thing I can think in the Blight's favor right now is I've noticed a lot of really strong pallets are now out of the equation, and I'm curious to see how much that helps the Blight in the chases now.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. We actually saw that there was someone on that gen there as the Blight was rushing towards the garage, but skill check did get missed there, and Blight going back to the hook. Multiple gens actually really well progressed, and there is the unhook by the lorry. And do keep in mind, since it is an S tier, we do have Deliverance in hand, and we do get a very nice stun there by the ace. Blight going to go for the break as they do get pushed further towards another side of the map. But for the people mid-chase from the lorry, Blight really wanted to go for the call out, but lorry will take the down instead. I'm going to get the sense that it's probably a Deliverance in hand.
I believe that could be the case. Yeah, Lori just doing everything possible to say, like, no, chase me, please let him go. And you're right, it would not surprise me if that is a Deliverance play coming up.
Yeah, but we do see the ace here, who does get down quite quickly by the Blight. Unfortunately for them, that for the people, though it did extend the chase, did go a little bit to waste, as Ace will end up getting hooked down in the basement. Though these survivors not giving up a fight, as they will pop a second generator here.
Yeah, both teams have been doing absolutely fantastic right now. The Blight been doing excellent maneuvers in the chase, but Survivor's also a beautiful job of spreading out, getting those gens popped.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, want to notice something? Before, the nurse was the one with the audio chase bug. Now it seems that the Blight is, as we got some very intense moments of looking at grass.
I did not even realize that till now. When did that start happening?
You know, apparently just now, as I've only just
now.
now noticed it. But it does seem that the Lori did in fact have Deliverance, as they are still broken and seemingly did unhook themselves earlier. Ace, though, less than 30 seconds on the hook before they progress to death and move back to the campfire via the entity. But so far, no sign of Survivors coming in to intervene and attempt an unhook, as about 5 seconds left on the clock. Blight checking the lockers just in case this cheeky Survivor is hiding on nearby, and I think this will be the first death of this match.
Yeah, Survivor's just sort of giving it up, letting Ace die in the basement, but now I'm curious to see what gen progression was done during that time, because surely they had to just be sitting on gens during all this.
Yeah, and it does seem like this gen over here does have a decent amount of progression. Brutal Strength coming into play, as Call of Brine will activate, regressing that gen by 200% over the next 60 seconds or so. However, main building now completed. Probably the hardest gens to complete, realistically speaking, though. We did see a Lori here who does get promptly down there at the gen.
Yep, surprise, surprise. Didn't even know she was there. Lori going to be getting hooked now, but it would not surprise me if the other two Survivors have been cranking away on a separate gen that might pop soon.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, the biggest thing that we see from Survivors time and time again, especially against S tiers, it's not about how many escape, but how many gens you get done. And I think we're going to see that exact same mentality used here today, as Nancy comes out of nowhere and does take a hit from the Blight. Looks like a lucky break, sending them off into the distance, as Blight has all but lost trace of where they went.
Yeah, these it's been several times now. They are just masters at just coming out of nowhere. I didn't know they added teleportation to the Survivor's kit.
Yeah, apparently they've been taking a few lessons from the nurse.
Ooh, very good. We nerfed the nurse and gave the powers to the Survivors. Got it.
Yeah, you know, only fair, right? Only fair.
Only
you
fair.
see Nancy coming back in, trying to go for this unhook here on the Lori. Mind you, they only have about 15 seconds or so and would need a second Survivor to get the unhook. And sure enough, here is the Ada. This does mean, however, that there are no Survivors currently on gens.
Yeah, Survivor's gonna have to play this super carefully, make sure nobody gets grabbed. Nancy doing a fantastic job coming in and taking a body block so that Ada could get the unhook successfully. Oh.
Really cheeky play there by the Ada, jumping in the locker for a bit of a locker tech there on the Blight, narrowly avoiding the Blighted Rush, but they will end up going down nonetheless. Mind you, though, they're probably the best one to go down if, in instance, the Blight does secure the 4K, as Blight is going to hook them for the first time this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick reset on the Lori. Gonna go try to scout out wherever they're possibly resetting. But it's looking like the Blight really not a lot of reasons to leave right now. We know this gen right over here has a lot of progress on it, and we have Ada hooked right next to it. But we're just gonna go check over on these gens just to be safe.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a decent split for the Survivors, a 2-1 split, but because Blight has so much maneuverability and is able to traverse the map so quickly, I mean, it does almost feel like a 3-gen at times with a hook in the middle of it. So, gonna be a little bit difficult for these Survivors to get this last gen, let alone get this next unhook here on the Ada.
Right, and Blight with his speed too, man. Oh, it's so crazy. He's just been zooming across the map.
Absolutely, but Ada about 5 seconds away from being progressed to second stage and moving that much closer to the campfire via the entity. However, this Survivor here leaving a little bit early, as we do see Ada in fact progressing. And the question then remains, where might the Lori be, who is on death hook? And it looks like they did in fact go for the unhook on the Ada, but a little bit too late, as they are now both on death hook, with Nancy being the only fresh Survivor.
Ooh, the Survivors have been doing a fantastic job just hopping in these lockers, and even if they go down seconds later, that's still seconds wasted for the Blight.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to note that they did get a reset on the Lori? Ada following suit thereafter, and Blake getting a little bit tripped up there on the car pile. You just are not able to bounce off them. I don't think you ever have been, except from like very specific angles. And we will see
That's
the
so
Blake.
odd.
Yeah, it really is. And you see the Blake going back to the unhook here, trying to see where these survivors might be. And bit by bit, I imagine these gens have just been progressing to all but nothing. And I imagine the Blight pretty happy to see just that, as they will use Call of Brine and Pop Goes the Weasel in order to regress it even further.
I was confident the Lori, with what she was doing with her time, would have time to tap this gem, but I'm actually shocked to see it regressed as far as it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of time where that gen was regressing, I think, when they're going for the unhook here. Ada being a bit greedy here, not going for the pallet chop. Imagine they will do so this time, but they'll take the hit through the pallet. Ping just not in their favor, as Ada will be sent back to Campfire via the entity, as they are hooked for their third and final time.
As GG's for the Ada, like you mentioned, going back to the Campfire, and I imagine the Blight is going to be rushing over to this gen we know they've been working on, looking to get the reset first, and now we're just back to square one, hunting down the survivors.
Yeah, it's possible at this point in time they might try and go for a hatch escape for the Nancy. It would make a lot of sense. So potentially maybe a little bit of an offering here. We might see the Lori kind of pop out of nowhere and grab the Blight's attention.
Just like the gen over on the other side, this gen down to nothing again. Just all of this work from the survivors just gone in the blink of an eye.
I mean, that is what Call of Brine does. Pop especially too on these really well progressed gens, though I will say, as far as pop value is concerned, not really great value, but some here and there. Really just been Call of Brine just put it in all of the legwork.
Yeah, a monster of a perk.
Without a doubt. But that being said, looks like survivors are kind of just hiding out a little bit, trying to get a little bit of progression bit by bit, but still no sign of them. We did see scratch marks earlier over towards main, but Blight may have not noticed nor have cared exactly, as they are just in really dedicated to pushing these gens back to zero. And they will find the Lori, but keep in mind, Lori is on death hook. Nancy with only one hook so far this game. And so if they down the Lori, the question is, do they even want to hook them?
Right. If they do hook them, they got to make a beeline over to Shaq in order to close that hatch. And sure enough, it's looking like we are going to go for the hook and just try our luck to get over there. But with the speedy add-ons Blight has right now, it is not out of the realm of possibility. Looking to try to get a hook as close as possible, or just bring them over to this side, since I don't think a hook is in the equation anymore.
Yeah, it looks like what they're really doing is trying to bring the Lori that much closer to Shaq, even if they were to get off their shoulder. However, they saw Nancy here earlier sneaking their way towards Shaq, maybe a little bit too preemptively. Now the question is, could they be in one of these lockers? Nancy previously did have head on, so would imagine that Blight trying to bait out the survivor rather than looking through each locker.
Absolutely. Once head on has been shown, it is just paranoia with lockers, and I do it too. It's just, are they in this one? Are they in this one?
Oh yeah, absolutely. However, Nancy seeming to evade the Blight, and we're kind of back in the same game now, as Lori, I imagine, is going to be back on this gen. And yeah, I think the Lori is going to be acting as a sacrificial offering here, as the Blight is going to have to make a decision one way or another, and looks like this gen will be regressing by Call of Brine, and Lori will end up going down here shortly, I imagine.
Yeah, Lori, not much she can do over here. Now we're back to the Blight's big decision. Do we hook and try to rush over there, or what is the plan here?
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try and drag him to the hook here over by Shaq. The question is, are they able to get there in time? I don't think so. This might just be a little bit too far away, but yeah, just a small bit. Blight, though, known for their speed, will attempt to get the Lori down before they all make much distance, and there it is. That's exactly what the Blight wanted. To get that down then and there. No Nancy in sight. This now means that they have a ton of time to get between here and the hatch in order to close it.
Absolutely. One of the exit gates right there behind us. Not able to spot the other exit gate. Have you kept an eye out on where that is?
I haven't, so that's going to be a really interesting question here, as the Blight will close hatch and notifying where the exit gates are, and they are way too close. There is almost no way for this Nancy to get out at this point in time. And so looks like this will end up being a 4K at 4 gens completed for Oboy against Petroleum Survivor team. And it's going to come down to Petroleum's Blight and see if they're able to get a 4K before 4 gens. If so, that will secure them the 3-0 record. If not, they'll move down to 2-1. And there's the red light. Let's see if the Nancy gets hit. They will, and I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to last long enough to finish off that exit gate in time.
Absolutely. Nancy did get some good progress on it, though. I was shocked to see that 2 lights were on.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really good job there, and Blight just being able to see that flash of red right when they needed to. And Nancy going for one final chase as EGC starts ticking down 1 minute on the clock, but we will even need that as Nancy will go down at the pallet, and I believe the Blight will send them back to the campfire, not wanting to waste any time today.
Yes, GG from both sides. Both teams did fantastic. 4K for the Blight, but 4 gens done for the survivors, which is not an easy task.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Honestly, against the Blight, it's a really respectable number of gens completed. And like I said, it's going to come down to Petroleum's Blight now. If they're able to outperform Oboy's Blight, you know, that will grant them the victory. But in instance of a tie, I'm not sure what that'll look like for Challenge. It's possible that it might end up giving the invitation to both these teams here, irregardless of their previous records. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Ooh, super excited. I can't wait to see what they bring out in the next match.
Absolutely, but that being said, we are going to go on a quick break. But before we do want to remind everyone here today that you, yes, you, the viewers, are our sponsors. So that as they watch all the bits they tip, all the subs they buy, and of course all the Rogue Energy by using the code COTF, goes supporting Chambers of Fog, and the prize pool is for Group A and Group B. With that being said, we'll be back in just a bit.
What now?
All right, and we are back for the final trial of qualifier number 2. This time, we are going to see Petroleum's Blight versus Oboy's Survivor team, and they are going to need to get a 4K at 3 gens or less in order to claim victory and a 3-0 record, naming them an invite to Season 6 of Champions of the Fog. What do you think, DbdOpinions? Is it possible for the Blight to do just that?
Oh, it's definitely possible, but they have a tall order ahead of them because the survivors, they know what the win condition is, and they are going to be going in, I imagine, just nothing else. We got to crank out these gens as quickly as possible, but unfortunately, Ace spotted right off the bat, a chase starting almost immediately.
Yeah, honestly, really good find there for the Blight. Ended up on that hill, getting some resources out of the way very early as well. Ace going back into main, it looks, and looks like we're having a very similar scenario as to what we saw at the beginning of last match. Though this time, I don't think there's a head-on for the survivors to save this Ace from the Blight's wrath.
Right. A very quick down onto the Ace. I imagine a gen will be popping somewhat shortly, though not much you can do about that first gen, but still a very quick down to start pressure.
Yeah, honestly, really, really well done. And we even see survivors here as well, scratch marks fading away as the Blight looks around, does find them there in Shack, though, and looks like they are looking around to see which one has the most progression, as this will, in fact, be a Pop Goes the Weasel, and the gen will be highlighted in yellow as well.
Oh, and a quick for the people from Claudette.
Yeah, however, I don't think that's going to deter the Blight, as they are going to try and go for the... However, that saved sprint burst there does get the Ace a little bit of distance.
Absolutely. Ace using the main building here to his advantage. I think, yeah, it is time to break that breakable wall there.
Yeah.
Ace, not a lot here for him to work with, just that one pallet, a strong pallet, but Blight, if he's able to bounce around that.
Yeah, however, Ace doing a really good job there, kind of managing this pallet very well, getting it on the Ace, forcing the Ace out of main. However, we're kind of in the same scenario we saw before where Ace did get down. Blight trying to do a little bit of mind games, does get it successfully, and this will be the second down for Ace. The question is, does he have a decisive strike in hand to potentially save him from a gruesome end?
We'll just have to wait and see, and no, it does not look like there was a decisive strike from the Ace. I imagine the survivors have been overworking on the Shack gen and the Hill gen, it seems the ones they were eyeing. Not a lot of progress on the Hill gen, but sure enough, Shack gen was the one a lot of them were working on.
Yeah, especially at the Pop Goes Weasel, we saw the Caller Brian as well, and even the noise notification. However, 2 gens popping off, leaving 3 remaining. They are going to need to secure the 4K here at 1 more gen completed at the very most. Otherwise, it is a tie at the best of cases or a loss at the worst. So we'll have to wait and see what that looks like, as Blight did see the noise notification earlier and wants to potentially interrupt this gen and will find the Claudette, who dead hards the Blight's hit. Dead Hard now allowed this season, specifically against the S tiers like the Blight here, and I don't believe we're going to see another for the people on the Ace, so Blight going for the tunnel out instead, as we do see the Yui there, and Blight trying to cut them off here, and does in fact find them.
Yeah, trying to go around for the mind game. Main building now running out of a lot of resources. The Ace might have to take the chase elsewhere. Following some scratch marks here. And I can't tell who we're spotting over here. It is the Ace. Oh, and just not able to get to the pallet in time.
I mean, this is a really good tunnel out. However, these survivors have been very proficient in getting these generators done. So it's now at 3 gens. 1 more gen for the survivors will result in a tie at the very worst or best, depending on who you ask. And another gen thereafter will secure Oboy the win, giving them a 3-0 record for qualifier number 2.
The 3 gens that have been popped are ones we all know they've been working on. I'm curious if they have any other gens with some substantial progress on it, or if they're just all kind of down to nothing right now.
Yeah, that's a good question. I will note with Pop Goes the Weasel, it just has not gotten a lot of value. A lot of these gens below 50%, which really is kind of the bar for entry with gen regression at this point in time. There's an argument to be made that maybe Scourgehook Pain Residence or Eruption may have been a better option here.
Absolutely. Hill gen with not much progress, that back gen with not much progress. We're just gonna leave the Yui and see if we can catch anyone by surprise. Somebody's in here leaving scratch marks behind, but not able to spot me. We see their feet just run out the door to the Nancy.
Yeah, I do want to note that Claudette is probably not the survivor you want to find at this moment in time, as the Claudette did unhook and have 4 people prior. So it makes sense that they might also have Deliverance. So Nancy, a really good find here, as they might not have a lot in the way of second chance perks. However, with the lack of scratch marks and blood and noise they made, that there might be a lucky break, getting them a little bit of distance.
I think you're absolutely right. The Blight, knowing that if they pop 2 more gens, it is over. Just trying to do their best to patrol and deal pressure and have good chases. Yui cranking out a lot of progress on this gen there.
Yeah, now it comes down to these final 2 gens, and since we are seeing the Nancy not get healed, it's very possible that the Claudette and Nancy just trying to work on gens here. Understanding the win conditions, better to work on gens than it is to go for the heal instead. And these survivors playing to their outs, as Yui will be going down here.
Very good down from the Blight, and Blight looking to possibly just leave them slugged and scout out the Claudette and Nancy. Claudette now being healed, Nancy still injured.
Yeah,
Oh, both of them now being healed.
Yeah, it looks like they took their time. They ended up getting a bit of a reset, potentially a 99 there, as that was pretty quick, though. Blight now in chase with what looks to be the Claudette here, though Claudette making it to the pallet in time. Yui still on the ground for how much longer yet to be seen, and we do see the noise notification there in main, so it looks like Blight might be going for a hook here in order to get a Pop Goes the Weasel to regress that gen that much further.
I think that would be really smart. That gave away and let us know where everyone is, and he knew it was a safe possibility to go get the hook, get that pop. We now know what gen they're working on. Scratch marks going around, trying their best to dance around the aisles here, but not able to get the hit.
Yeah, though this is very aggressive. They know full well they can get the Pop Goes the Weasel here on this gen, but instead going for the chase on the Nancy is a dangerous play, but looks like the Blight will drop chase. Now going back to the unhook, in fact, and we will see the Claudette over here as well, as we see scratch marks going back towards the end of the car pile.
Looking like we'd rather use our pop on this gem back here. We know that had a lot of progress on it. Might have been the better option. And trying to chase Claudette here. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, they're going to take a hit there at the pallet. Claudette getting a little bit of distance there, but not much. Blight really just trying to keep these survivors injured as much as possible so that these chases stay short. It looks like they jumped into main, trying to get this last gen popped off, and Blight going to be breaking that wall for a quick stop before they hit the gen with Call of Brine.
Yeah, survivors have done a beautiful job at spreading out the gens here so that Blight, even though he's fast, ooh, Nancy out of nowhere. Even though he's fast, he still has to run back and forth to try to pressure these gens they're working on.
Yeah, it definitely is a difficult task to say the least, but that there will be the 5th hook. However, I'm not sure if the Blight gets back to that gen in time, though I will note that only one Call of Brine noise notification has proc so far. It's very possible that's only one survivor on it, and not to, really surprised not to see these survivors doubling up to try and get these gens done and dusted.
I know, and that gen already had not as much progress on it, and Pop and Call of Brine just gonna regress it that much more.
Yeah, Pop Call of Brine really doing a lot of work here. We do see scratch marks and a blood trail as well. That there is the Nancy. Blight will be cutting them off here, and we'll see if they're able to get to another tile in time. Another pallet, but Nancy will not go for it. Instead, vaulting in towards Shaq. And looks like they have another pallet, but a little bit of fake there by the Nancy as they move back towards the stronger area, as the Blight will take a stun. No ping in their favor this time around.
Really well done from the Nancy. Blight just calling it off, knowing he's got to pressure these gens over here. Sure enough, they have been cranking away at main building. I imagine it is the Claudette here right now, leaving behind scratch marks.
Yeah, and it is so close to being complete. The Blight really stuck between a rock and a hard place here, as there's 2 gens with quite a lot of progression here. Even with that 200% regression, there's only so much that the Blight can do, though. Getting a really good bounce there on the tree, finding the survivor does appear to be the Claudette, in fact, as they are the Obsession. We do hear the Obsession chase music start up, and that will be a hit here before they're able to reach the pallet. Question is, will they be able to get the down in time? But no, instead going for the Yui here at the car pile.
Honestly, might be the best decision, but that was a beautiful blind from the Whoa, what just happened there?
Honestly, not really sure what just happened. It was, the Blight was so confused by the flashbang that they ended up going back into time tracer style.
Oh, perfect. The buff Blight needed.
Now, honestly, really well played here by the survivors. They do end up getting that 4th gen. Now a tie is currently the best case scenario for Petroleum and Oboy. So it now comes down to these next few hooks between these last 3 survivors. I want to note that the first survivor who was killed quite a long while ago, and the game is just still on chugging along. Both survivors and killers playing very, very well.
Absolutely. Gen regressing over here. I imagine the survivors will start working on that very far gen down there, just so the Blight still has to keep running back and forth to try to patrol these gens.
Yeah, it would make a ton of sense. The question is, we kind of saw a very similar scenario to this in our last match with Oboy killing, and it might end up being very similar, if not the same. You know, though it's not a 3-gen by any stretch of the imagination, I'd say this one is much weaker than the last. You know, there's still that possibility that the Blight's maneuverability and mobility is able to just get them from one place to the other fast enough to where it really does not matter.
Absolutely, and with both survivors being injured, all he has to do is catch them out of place once, and it is over for them. Nancy, sure enough, going to the comp corner, knowing there is not much they can do. I imagine the Blight will need to hook and rush over to that far gen once again, because that might be where they're going.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense, to say the least. And Blight ignoring this gen over here in its entirety, a bit of a dangerous play, I would argue, but without Caller Brian being on that gen over by the car pile, it does mean they have no information here, but amazing rush there, getting the hit on the Claudette, not to mention getting the Pop Goes the Weasel and Caller Brian on this gen. Blight knowing, though, since the other survivor is not here, they're more than likely going for the unhook, and with that gen being as progressed as it is, it's very possible that they might be able to get it if they were to go for the hook instead.
I agree, and with Claudette having 4 the people earlier, I'm pretty sure he is suspecting a deliverance play from her, so just gonna leave her on the ground for now.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense, though. Possibility of a Unbreakable as well, given that it's not still the realm possibility that we see Deliverance for the people Unbreakable, but we'll have to wait and see as we see the Dead Hard there from the Nancy going back to the gen, but Blight turn around just in time to interrupt. And still no pickup on the Claudette as of yet, as we will see the Nancy go down, which could be the final hook here for Nancy, as they will be sent back to the campfire via the entity.
Yeah, unless there is a decisive strike coming in play, which there is not. Nancy is going to be sent back to the campfire. Claudette still bleeding out on the ground, but not anymore. Oh, it's always right when I say it.
Yeah, I will note that the Nancy took the risk of touching that gen there, actually, so no chance of decisive strike, maybe emboldening the Blight here to go for that pickup, in fact. But looks like they are going back to the car pile. Once again, no information on this gen, and looks like that is still regressing. Blight kind of taking a moment to take it all in, trying to figure out where these survivors might be, and Blight does hear the Yui still bleeding here from their injury and will take the hit at the pallet. I do not know if there is much survivors can do about this right now. It's very much in the realm of possibility we have a tie on our hands, but we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, Blight kind of taking stock of where everything's at real quick, what the gens are looking like, and if they can get this hook. And looks like they are, in fact, going to be going back and just checking this final gen, and all of them are still regressing. It comes down to this Claudette. Does she have the ability to get out via the hatch? Because, I don't know, these exit gates, very similar to what we saw before, and we saw very clearly how the Blight can maneuver between the two of them at this distance.
Yeah, it feels almost impossible at this point to get out with these exit gates against a Blight. We are just running around trying to find the Claudette anywhere, somewhere. But Claudette just doing a fantastic job just hiding away, maybe even secretly cranking out a gen. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing the gens still regressing all the while, so very unlikely that they're working on gens. I think they know the situation. I think the Blight does too. They need to go for the hook here and go for the hatch close and just hope that they're able to find the Claudette before they're escaping via the exit gates, but I'm doubtful that's going to happen, though. Blight taking a little bit of time before getting to the hook, just thinking it over. Do I want to hook? Do I not? We'll see, and then finally deciding to do so as we will see the Blight at the hatch. And honestly, if I'm the Claudette, I don't think I would go for the exit gates. I think I'd take my chances with the hatch here, but no sign of them at this moment in time, and that there will be the close. Exit gates are powered now, and it all comes down to the EGC.
Absolutely, we are off to the races now. Blight looking to just get on the hill to patrol the area here because it looks like, yep, she's got a clear view of both exit gates there.
Yeah, and just getting even more clear view bit by bit, just position themselves into the right spot to see both exit gates very clearly. And so it's looking like it is in fact going to be a tie match, which means it comes down to a what challenge determines. I do believe in this scenario, it will give these two teams, Petroleum and Oboy, the first and second place spot, but we'll have to wait and see as we do get all of the remaining matches in to say for certain. That being said, these have been some really amazing matches today, and you know, always love seeing some very competent S tiers here on the Gas 7, and Oboy and Petroleum definitely showing off what they have in store for us in Season 6.
Absolutely. The Blight came in knowing it was going to be a difficult game. The Survivors just knowing they got to crank out those gens and just doing a beautiful job at spreading out pressure, leaving the Survivors injured. And we are going to one more chase here with the Claudette before the match is up.
You know, might as well end things in a bit of a 1v1 chase, though. Not a lot of resources here for the Claudette to play with, as the Blight will push them into the garage. There is the one remaining pallet this Claudette has available to her. She'll go for the door and will get down by the Blight, who was very patient in the down there. And that there will end this match. So GG, well played on both sides. And I do believe you were right about the Claudette being the Deliverance player.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Just, we saw it in the last game. We see it in a lot of games, the For the People. No!
Yeah, I was like, you know what,
I'm
just gonna pique my interest, but no Deliverance on the Claudette. We'll be able to see at the end game screen who actually did have it, and it was actually the first person to get hooked and get out of the game. It was on Ace, so that was really detrimental to, if not, I would say 3 second chance perks between Deliverance, Unbreakable, and also Will Make It Too. That was really, really pivotal for the Blight to win here, so probably just the best first chase they could have asked for.
Honestly, that is so unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is, but with that being said, I'm going to take a look at challenge real quick, see if the other matches have wrapped up. It does appear they have, so this is the final score going in. We'll mark it as a tie, end the tournament, and... oh, looks like first place will be Petroleum, second place Oboy with the tie, so I was right on how that would shake out. So congratulations to Petroleum, congratulations to Oboy, as you'll both be receiving an invite to Season 6 of Champions of the Fog. And with that being said, we'll see you all in February 4th for Season 6. But don't worry, we have, I believe, another 4 qualifiers coming up. 2 more next weekend, and then 2 more thereafter to round things out. But with that being said, DbdOpinions, any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
Oh man, those just high energy games that you can only see from just such masters at Dead by Daylight. Both of those were such close calls, and I'm super excited to see Season 6 just take off. We got some amazing teams here.
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited to say the least. But with that being said, we are going to wrap up Qualifier number 2. Once again, congratulations to both teams. GG, well played, and well played to all the teams today. Hopefully we'll see you all again next Saturday, 12 p.m. CST, for more matches of Dead by Daylight. But before we do wrap things up, DbdOpinions, where can everyone find you next time you go live?
You can find me on YouTube over at DbdOpinions.
Awesome. Well, that being said, everyone definitely make sure to stop on by, say hi, drop that subscribe button, and of course hit the bell too for all of your notifications. And as always, I am your co-host and commissioner, Giltspire. I am a streamer as well, educational streamer who streams Dead by Daylight, Magic Gathering, and a whole lot more, though recently my flavor of the day has been Final Fantasy XIV, so if you are a fan of MMORPGs, definitely make sure to stop on by and say hi. But with that being said, we'll be wrapping things up, and we will see you all next week. We'll see you then, folks. Bye-bye!